the discussion of Ghana and Ghana's sisters. Okay? Now, the reason that this is important, as you know, Ghana is something that we'll come across very commonly in the Quran, and the sisters of Ghana as well. What are the most common sisters of Ghana? We have Ghana, which is the most common in the Quran. And then we have the word, which is number 13 on the text, which is Laysa. It's the second most common sister of Ghana that we'll be looking at in the Quran. And then the third is going to be Sara/Asbaha, which have very similar meanings. So lesson 1.9 in Tasheel al-Nahu is crucial because of the fact that it deals with Ghana and the sisters, Sara, Laysa, and Asbaha, which are the most common uses, or the most common sisters in terms of frequency in the Quran. So generally speaking, we've already looked at Ghana in a more basic fashion in the earlier part of this course. And that was in the conversation of the 10 lessons of Arabic. We spoke about how Ghana functions quite opposite to the word inna. What does that mean?
Khabar is reverse state.
Reverse state. So what is the state of Ghana? Of its ism and khabar? Ism is marfu' or in the rafa'at state. We can simply say the ism is marfu'. Marfu' means in the rafa'at state. The ism is marfu' and the khabar is mansub, which means in the nasab state. Alright, so we call Ghana a fi'l naqis, and the reason for that is really not that important to learn right now. Like, just know that if you ever come across a discussion of Ghana, how do you refer to it? You can just refer to it as the discussion of Ghana, but how the grammarians describe these words, Ghana and its sisters, is they call them af'al naqisa, which means defective or incomplete verbs. The important part about that to understand is that they're verbs. If they're verbs, what does that mean? Verbs have different tenses. Like if you think about the word inna and its sisters, the title of that discussion was al-huruf al-mushabbaha bil-fi'l. Huruf, they are harfs, right? Now, are harfs like verbs in that they have a past and present and male and female? So inna and all of its sisters remain stationary. We don't change inna when we're talking about a male or a female or one or two or three or second person or third person or first person or past or present. We don't have any of those variations with inna and any of inna's sisters. But on the other hand, when we're looking at Ghana and its sisters, they're called al-af'al an-naqisa. Af'al meaning the plural fi'l, which tells you that they are verbs. Why is that important? Because you're going to have to learn to change the tense of these verbs in order to match whoever it is you're talking about. You know how we change verbs from second person to third person or masculine to feminine? Like daraba can be shifted into yadribu for present tense, and it can be shifted into darabat for feminine and darabta for second person and darabtu for first person, or adribu for first person, present tense. All of those changes will occur across these verbs generally. There are some exceptions to that, which I'll talk about later, but generally you will have to ensure that Ghana and its sisters are in the right verbal tense. Does that make sense? You guys understand the concept? Okay. Does anyone know what the present tense of Ghana is? Yakunu. Good. Now, does anyone know, inshallah we'll go over all 14. Let me just first go over the text. Okay. Now, when we say something like Ghana Zaydun, Zayd was, that's technically not a proper sentence in Arabic, because just like inna and its sisters require an ism and a khabar, Ghana and its sisters require an ism and a khabar. You can't simply say Ghana Zaydun. You need a khabar of Ghana in order to use Ghana as a fi'l naqis. Now, this is actually a big lie. The author is not going to tell you about that right now. But there are times when kana makes sense without a ism and a khabar. And when is that? That is when kana is used for a different meaning. So for example, normally kana means was, right? So A was B, or would be like a structure that we can make. A was B. The A would be your ism of kana, and your B would be the khabar of kana. But kana also has a different meaning, which is to exist.
Yeah.
So when I say kana Allahu, what does that mean? Allah was, meaning Allah existed. If we use kana in the meaning of existed, then it doesn't need an ism and a khabar. Okay, but generally speaking, the way we're learning kana and its sisters, we're learning of them as the type of words that are requiring ism and a khabar. That's the version we're learning about right now. Okay. Any questions about that?
If we say kana marid,
Okay, so kana maridan is a phrase that is complete. It has an ism and it has a khabar. The ism is hidden within kana, and that ism is he.
Right.
Because kana means he was.
Yeah, like kanat would be she.
Exactly. So you know how verbs have hidden doers inside them? Like imagine if I said darabu, what does that mean? They hit, right? So the they, which in pronoun form is home, is hidden, but it's actually contained within the verb itself. So sometimes the ism of kana is present within kana itself. That's a good point that you make. Anyhow, the effect of these are that they give rafa' to the mubtada, they give, which is then known as the ism kana, and they give nasab to the khabar, which is then known as khabru kana. Now here are the sisters of kana. We have kana, which means was. Can we read the example that they give for kana right here?
Still not
They changed the.
What happened? What happened? Ya Allah. When did that happen?
When it got unplugged.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It definitely pulled on something.
I got you.
I think it's tangled underneath it.
Oh, okay.
Got you.
Or it's just short.
Okay. So kana, let's look at the example they've given of kana. Can we read that in Arabic? Kana al-baytu nadifan, which means the house was clean. Okay. Let's look at the second, or the first sister rather, of kana. One second, yeah, I'm sorry. My bad. I gotta figure out how to download this page. So this says,
If you, if you print the PDF, you can save it on your desktop.
yeah, that's smart. Jazakallah khair. Now I'm slowed down even more. Okay. Kana al-baytu nadifan. The second of the sisters of kana is the word Sara. Okay? Sara in the Arabic language means became. So, when the state of something or someone becomes into something else, we use the word Sara. Whereas kana is used when describing something being something in the past, Sara has nothing to do with the past. So, when we look at a word like Sara, and we use it in a sentence, we use it whenever someone's condition changes in the past, but it can also mean something in the present tense as well. So, consider the example that they've given. The example they gave is Sara ar-rajulu maridan. Sara ar-rajulu ghaniyan. Sara means became, so Sara ar-rajulu ghaniyan means the man became wealthy. So that sounds like it's in the past tense, right? But the difference between Sara ar-rajulu ghaniyan and kana ar-rajulu ghaniyan is what?
And then became versus the man was.
So what's the difference there?
Past and present.
No, they're
Or
both in the
and
past.
So
They're both in the past. Think about it.
would be like he used to be almost.
Ghana is simply just telling you that the man at some point in time was rich.
He might
Okay?
not be anymore.
In the past.
He could be.
Yeah. Okay? Sara Rajulu Ghaniyan is telling you that he wasn't rich.
He wasn't
And then at some point he ended up becoming rich. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Alright, you understand? If I say Kana Rajulu Ghaniyan, the man was rich, he could have been born rich. Right? It's not telling me that his state changed from poor to rich.
So the man could be rich, like back then.
Yeah, he could. If I say Kana Rajulu Ghaniyan, that's all I'm saying. Back then he was rich. Okay? But Sara Rajulu Ghaniyan means that he wasn't always rich. And at some point in time, his condition changed, he ended up becoming rich.
So this is like saying this is future. This is like present tense.
No, they're both past tense. He became wealthy, he was wealthy. Those are both past tense verbs.
Oh.
But was is simply telling you someone's previous condition, and Sara is telling you that someone's condition changed into the condition that you're describing.
Like
So when I say the man became wealthy, that still doesn't mean he's wealthy right now. That means he could have gone back to poor, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just saying he became wealthy at some point.
So he's like sort of for changeable situations.
Yeah, the situation becoming the khabar. The predicate is what the subject became at some point in time. Whereas was or gana is whenever it is that that situation simply existed in the past.
So it's almost like a past action.
Mm-hmm. Like an active change.
Yeah.
An active change.
Like Sara Arif Tawi.
صار عارف طويلا. What does that mean?
Arif becomes tall, right?
Became tall.
Became
So Arif became tall. That means at some point you were what?
Short.
Exactly. Your condition changed. That's when you use صار.
Oh. Yeah.
That's pretty simple. Now, imagine if I said صار الرجل مريضا. What would that mean? Became sick. What does that inform you?
He used to be healthy.
He was at some point healthy. But if I say كان الولد مريضا, the boy was sick, I could be saying he was sick his whole life. I'm just telling you, in the past he used to be sick. Yeah? Alright, let's look at number 3. Number 3 is asbaha. See? Asbaha in the Arabic language means one of two things. The first thing it can mean is for something to happen in the morning, or it can also give the same meaning as Sara. You guys understood the meaning of Sara, right?
Yeah.
Okay? Well, asbaha it comes from the root letter subh. Subh means what? Morning. Like sabah means morning, right? So, when we say asbaha, it means for something to happen specifically at morning time, and sometimes it can be used just to mean Sara, or in other words, something's condition changed at some point in time. Get it? So if I say Asbaha Zaydun Maridan, I'm saying Zayd,
Became early.
Got up in the morning.
he didn't get up in the morning. In the morning something happened. He became something else. He became sick. So it doesn't just mean he woke up, but it means that he changed condition into something in the morning.
So I can still say, so asbah can also mean wake up, right?
Yes, that's correct. So the word asbaha, it's not mentioned here, but that meaning is not a fair naqis. What I mean by that is it doesn't need two parts. So when I say Zayd asbaha, Zayd woke up, I don't have to say a khabar beyond that for that sentence to make sense. But when I say asbaha in the meaning of A became B in the morning, I need an A and a B. You guys understand?
So when it's in the beginning of the sentence, right?
Yes.
So in this case, right?
Yes.
If it's flipped, like you say,
Asbaha. Yeah. But it doesn't have to be flipped to even give that meaning either. I could just say Asbaha Zaydun. That would mean Zayd woke up in the morning. Okay? But right now we're talking about the version of Asbaha that requires two words, an ism and a khabar. So in this example, Asbaha Zaydun Maridan, we have an ism which is Zayd, we have a khabar which is Maridan. So the meaning is not any longer Zayd woke up in the morning. The meaning is Zayd became sick in the morning. Does that make sense? Yeah? So if I say Asbaha al-Jawu Harran. Al-Jawu means the weather. Harran means hot. So if I say Asbaha al-Jawu Harran, what am I saying?
The water becomes hot.
When?
Right.
When did it happen? In the morning.
Oh.
Because I said Asbaha. Does that make sense? So in Arabic, we have words that even tell you the change of a condition at a specific time, like Asbaha. In English, you would have to say the weather became hot in the morning. We have to say in the morning. In Arabic, we don't have to say became in the morning. Asbaha means became in the morning. You get it?
So is it a slang to be used in like it started without mentioning when like Asbaha Zakiyyun?
No, that's correct.
Oh, it is.
Yes, because look, it can also be used to mean what?
Oh, became.
Became. I'm gonna lose my mind.
You're not downloading?
I was downloading it. This website started just saying preparing for like 5 minutes. Okay. Can you tell us what the next example is, Shamriz?
Yes. For Asbaha or the one for Laysa?
No, the one after Asbaha.
No, the one after Asbaha is Amsa.
Amsa. Okay. When we see the word Amsa, it has the root letters Mim, Sin, and Ya, which are the root letters that make up the word Masa'un. Anyone know what Masa'un means?
Like
I have a
night
guess.
or night.
Evening.
Evening. Yes. So we have Du'a'ul Adhkari lis-Sabahi wal-Masa'i. You might have seen a YouTube video which means the morning remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the evening remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Lis-Sabahi wal-Masa'i. Because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had specific du'as for morning and specific du'as for evening. So we call the word evening in Arabic Masa'. That's important because just like we have Asbaha, which means became in the morning, we have Amsa, which means became in the evening. Okay? So, when I say Amsa Yusufu Maridan, what would that mean?
Yusuf became sick at night.
Yusuf became sick in the evening. Yes, very good, mashallah. Now, it also can be used in the meaning of became.
Oh, okay, cool.
Just like Sara has the meaning of became, Amsa can also be used in the meaning of became, just like Sara, and just like Asbaha as well. So, very important to understand. If you look at the example of Sara, the example of Sara that they gave was Sara al-Rajulu Ghaniyan. What did Sara al-Rajulu Ghaniyan mean?
The man became wealthy.
The man became wealthy. I could replace Sara there with Amsa al-Rajulu Ghaniyan.
Okay. And it would not mean at night, it would just mean
It would just mean the man became
wealthy.
wealthy. I could also say Asbaha al-Rajulu Ghaniyan, which would also mean the man became
wealthy.
just like you said.
Yeah.
It's not in slang they do that. It's not slang. That's supposed to.
Oh.
Okay. All right. Look at the next one. Number 5. We have Adha. Adha comes from the Arabic word Duha. You have Surah Al-Duha. What does Duha mean?
Before noon.
Before noon. Yeah. So basically, after sunrise till noontime, a portion of that time is called Duha. Preferably the earlier portion.
Oh, no, what we call it.
That's why we call Salat al-Duha. You ever heard of that?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, Salat al-Duha, or some consider that the same as Salat al-Ishraq, is the Salah that happens after sunrise. So, Duha is that time. Adha is a word that happens to be a sister of Kana, which means A became B in the mid-morning time. Very complicated.
All types of day.
All types of
All
times of the day.
Yeah.
Okay? أضحى الغمام كثيفا. أضحى الغمام. Ghamam in the Arabic language means clouds.
Oh.
Okay?
There's another word for cloud, right? Ainan?
Ainan?
No.
Uyun.
Ayun.
Uyun.
Khuyum. He's saying khuyum from ghaim, the things that carry rain. There's actually quite a few words for clouds. You have sahab. Yeah. So, al-ghamamu are the clouds. Kathifan in Arabic means thick and dense. So the clouds became dense at the mid-morning time. The example they gave for amsa, they said amsa al-amilu mut'aban. Al-amil is the worker. Mut'aban means tired. So amsa al-amilu mut'aban means the worker became tired at nighttime. It's very short in the way that we could say that in Arabic, because we have a word that means he became at night. Okay. Another sister of kana is the word dhalla. Dhalla means to happen during the daytime. Dhal comes from dhil.
Shadow.
Dhil means shade. And when do you have shade from the sun? In the day. Right? That's the only time there are shades. So, dhalla means to happen during the day. Dhalla al-mataru nazilan would mean the rain came down the whole day.
Oh, the whole.
The whole day, during the entire day.
Okay.
Do you all see that there is an ism and a khabar to all of these?
Yeah.
You see that in every example? One word in the raf'at state, one word in the nasab state. This is why they are called the sisters of kana.
So any of these can be alternated. So Dhallan could be Amsa al-Matar al-Nazilan.
But that would change the time of day that it happened.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
Amsa would mean it happened at night. Dhalla would mean it happened throughout the day.
Right. Okay.
Asbaha would mean it happened in the morning. Adha means it came a little bit later, after sunrise. Alright, then we have bata. Bata means to happen during the nighttime. Bata comes from the Arabic root letters ba, ya, ta. What is bait?
Home.
Home is where you
Go at night.
spend your nights, not your days. You're a man, right? You gotta work. So, your bait is where you sleep. Bait literally means to spend the night. Okay? So, bata means for something to happen during the night time. Something happened, or something became something during the night time. That entire phrase is summarized in 3 letters in Arabic. For example, A became B during the night. How many words is that?
That's a lot of work.
A became B during the night time. 7 words. In Arabic, it's 3 letters. Bata. Right? So we say bata, Zaydun, na'iman. Zayd did what throughout the night?
Slept throughout the night.
The word you get slept.
Not even.
Na'iman means sleeping. So Zayd was sleeping throughout the night. Makes sense? Yes? Beautiful how short the brevity of Arabic is. Then we have madama, which means as long as. So ijlis madama Zaydun jalisan. Sit as long as Zayd remains sitting.
Yes.
Madama would mean as long as. Mazala means always. A is continuously B. So mazala Zaydun maridan. Zayd was continuously sick. Ma bariha means always continuously. Ma fatiha means always continuously. Man fakka means always continuously. And lastly, we have the word laysa.
So are all the same from 9 to 12?
Yeah, from 8 to 12. No, yeah, 9 to 12. That's correct. Now they all mean the same thing, but they're different words used to mean the same.
So we can use like any words, right, of our choosing.
Of the 4, yes, to give that meaning.
And it will mean the same, right? It won't
Yeah,
be
it
like
mean the same thing. That's right. So look, ma zala Zaydun maridan. Zayd remained sick constantly. Ma bariha Zaydun sa'iman. Zayd remained fasting all the time. Ma fatiha Zaydun nashitan. Zayd is always active. Nashitan means active. Man fakka tajiru sadiqan. The trader was always truthful. So all of these have the same meaning of continuously, and they all happen to be sisters of kana as well. Number 13 is an important one. Because number 13 is interesting. It's interesting because it means not. A was not B. I can say Laysa Zaydun Taliban. What does that mean?
Zayd is not a
Not a
student.
student.
Zayd is, yeah, so it means Zayd is not a
Is
student.
not.
Okay? Laysa doesn't actually work like a verb. Now, normal verb has a past and a present, and an active and a passive. Laysa has no present tense.
Okay.
It only has one form, which is the word laysa can be formed like change the way we change past tense verbs. So like when I say fa'ala, what's the dual version of fa'ala? Fa'ala. So I would say laysa, and the dual version would be laysa. And what's the plural version gonna be? Su. And what's the feminine version gonna be? Laysat, laysata, and it's actually lasna. Yeah, and then lasta, lastuma, lastum, lasti, lastuma, lastunna, lastu, lasna. All right. Now these versions of laysa, there's no present tense for them, and also they don't give the meaning of past tense. Even though the verbs we just made were in the past tense, the meaning of laysa is not past tense; it's present tense. So when I say laysa Zaydun qawiyan, I'm not gonna say Zayd was not strong. I'm gonna say Zayd is not. It's gonna be in the present tense.
So Laysa is always in the present.
Yes, but its verb conjugation is in the past tense.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So that's one unique thing that makes this one sister of Ghana different to the rest.
Is it only male that uses
Laysat,
Laysa?
laysata, lasna, is plural female.
Oh, I see.
Lasta, lastuma, lastum, male. Lasti, lastuma, lastunna, female.
Oh, okay. So it changes. Okay.
Yeah, changes.
Follows those rules.
Yes, but only for the past tense.
Right.
There's no present tense yalisu or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's nothing like that.
So you don't have to conjugate Laysa in the first tense.
We don't. That's correct. That's correct.
No means no.
Don't make it hard. All right. Yes, Madik, what's your question?
No question.
No question? All right. You guys can read over these notes later. It's not too important. Let's try and just translate these 6 real quick. Let's look at number 1 or I right here. Can you guys try to read this with no harakat? Ami lu. Why lu? Because we need an ism in the rafa. So laysa al-amilu, and then our last word, Malik, would be nashitan. You remember what that means? Al-amil?
Yeah.
What?
Active.
Al-amil.
Oh, amil. Sorry, it's like amil is the doer.
A worker.
The worker, the employee, the laborer. What about the laborer?
He's active.
He's active? Laysa!
He's not active.
He's not
Oh,
active.
sorry.
Because laysa means it's not.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Here, number 2. What does that mean? Oh, that's hard. Tariq, tell me.
كان منامه
No, that's a hat at the end.
منامه
Like his.
منامه.
Yes?
Oh, okay.
Why is it in the rough arts name?
Because
Manamu.
it's somebody. It's a ism.
Yes, good.
كان منامه
Manam.
منامه. You know.
We need a khabar.
الخبر الصادق.
It's both.
Oh, it's both. Oh.
Yeah, it's a mawsuf and sifa.
منام.
Manam.
صادقا.
Yes. ليس منامه مناما صادقا.
Oh, now.
ليس منامه. You just gotta say it a little faster. It makes sense.
كان
Right?
منامه.
Oh, كان منامه مناما صادقا. I said ليس. Sorry. كان منامه. Anyone know what manam means?
The sleep.
Sleeping?
Or no, I'm sorry.
That doesn't make sense though.
No, it's a ism, so it's like.
It is his dream.
Okay.
Oh.
So كان منامه. What does that mean?
How do you know? Okay.
What does كان mean?
His dream was.
So كان منامه means his dream was. Manaman sadiqan.
It was a great dream.
A great dream?
True dream.
A true dream.
Oh, okay, true.
His dream was a true dream. Good. Alright.
Is Helen the same thing or not?
Hilwan?
Helen.
Oh yeah.
It is the same thing?
Yeah. It's a little bit different. Manam comes from Naum, which means to sleep, literally. Ahlam, which are dreams. They come from the Arabic word hilm,
Yeah.
and that has the meaning of steadfastness.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Like Halim is someone that is not steadfast, but rather, what's the English word?
Are you talking
To
about like
be-
I dream to be big in life or dream like that kind of thing?
Yeah. No, it can. Yeah. So Ahlam don't actually have to be physically seen. in
Physical
dreams.
dreams, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like they don't have to be seen in the brain.
That makes sense.
Like while asleep.
Yeah.
Ahlam are just your aspirations more so.
Forbearing.
Yeah, Ahlam literally comes from forbearance.
Yeah.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Halim, He's the forbearing. So in order to get to your dreams, you have to be a person of patience and forbearance.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay? Alright, number 3, Amsa is how we start this off. Does anyone remember what Amsa means?
At night.
At night.
Yeah, for something to become something at night. Amsa, what's the second one? Al-Ghani, and it has to be in the Rafa'at say. So Ganal, Ghaniyu, and then our last word would be Faqir. It has to be in what state?
Faqiran.
Nasab state. So how do we say it? Faqiran. So Ganal Amsal Ghaniyu Faqiran would mean what?
Oh, okay. The rich person became poor at night.
The rich man became poor at night. However, Amsa can also just mean the rich man became poor. It's likely that. Probably didn't lose all his money in one night.
Overnight.
Right.
So it means like technically at
But
the
it could.
end. At the end he became poor.
No.
It doesn't mean
It just means either specifically at the time of Masa or either no time at
So it
all.
just became poor.
Yeah. So Amsa Raj al-Ghani Faqiran means the rich man became poor overnight. Okay, literally, that's what it means. Maybe he had stocks in GameStop. I don't know, right? Something happened. Number 4, Nawaitu. Now, I'll read this for you. Nawaitu is a verb that comes from Nawa, Yanwi, which means to intend. Nawa means to intend. Just like Niyya is your intention. You ever heard of a Niyya? Yeah, so Nawaitu means I intended. Al-i'tikafa, I intended to spend the night in the masjid for Allah's sake. Ma dumtu is one of the sisters of Kana. It's actually the first person version of Madama. Ma dumtu is for I. Like Fa'altu is for I. Ma dumtu is for I. And Madama means as long as.
Right.
Okay, so nawaitul i'tikafa, I intended to do i'tikaf, madumtu, for as long as I, fil masjidi, am in the masjid. And that's one of the good practices to do that. When you come into a masjid, make the niyyah of i'tikaf. I'tikaf is not just for Ramadan. I'tikaf is for any time that you're in the house of Allah and you're devoting your time to Allah.
Even for like 5 minutes? it's
Even
like-
for 2 seconds.
it's like-
Yes.
So you don't have to like scroll by the masjid?
You don't have to. As long as you're in the masjid, you can be in the niyyah of i'tikaf, you receive the reward of i'tikaf. As long as you don't engage in any worldly activities.
Like you can't watch Netflix or you can't.
Yeah, you can't
So
watch
is it
it.
haram to pick up a business call? No.
Yeah, it's against the adab, you should leave.
Oh,
You
really?
can come back. It's against the adab. You should leave the prayer area at least.
Well,
Yeah.
sometimes I'm here by myself, like in the afternoon.
No.
It's fine if you just need a cool place to talk, that's fine.
Yeah.
Alright. Numbers 5. Sara al-kabshu saminan. What is kabsh? It's kabsh. حبيبي ما تعرف؟
I feel like I know.
مش تعرف؟ You say مش تعرف or ما تعرف؟
Go for it.
I feel like I've heard it.
طارق, would you say مش تعرف or ما تعرف?
Not that. Mish is slang. Right?
You would say that, right?
I would say mish. but
مش
I know it's
تعرف?
wrong.
Okay. Let's look it up. Kabsh.
Oh, a ram.
A ram. R-A-M. You know the truck?
Nice. You drive a kabash, man. No. Do you
You
drive
drive
a
a
kabash?
kabsh.
He does drive a kabash, right?
So a
I
kabsh
do.
is a male sheep, a male ram. Okay.
Kabish.
Now,
Oh, it's like
Sar al kabshu saminan. What does that mean?
the ram became fat.
Saminan is fat, yeah.
Yeah, it means fat. So where's my file now? SubhanAllah. I suck at that.
I don't know how to work Max.
I mean, yeah, Mac. Yeah, Allah, it's here.
My computer's going through the same thing. I think I just need a new one because I'm out of RAM.
No, my
you don't have a
computer's
kabash.
fast.
I'm out of
It's
kabsh.
just
You don't
not
have a
good.
kabash.
That literally is where I didn't even read it.
Sar al kabshu saminan. So the ram became
Fat.
fat. Samin is fat. The ram became fat. Alright, and then he gives an example of the actual hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, which is La yazalu. La yazalu is the present tense version of ma zala. Ma zala means to be
Always
continuous. Right? Continuously. A was continuously B. لا يزالك لسانك رطبا من ذكر الله, as the Prophet ﷺ said. لا يزال لسانك, your tongue ought to remain constantly. لا يزال means to be constant, right? Constantly.
Is that one of the ones
It is one of the sisters of the ones we did. Look, if you go up, we have ma zada on number 9. Ma is a past tense word. Its present tense is la.
Oh.
And zala is a past tense verb. Its present tense is yazalu. So la yazalu is the present tense version of ma zala, which means was continuously. Okay? So la yazaluka lisanuka, your tongue should constantly be rataban, wet. Your tongue should constantly be wet. Min dhikrillah. What does that mean?
Supplication.
Yes, through supplication. Right? Through dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, let your tongue remain constantly moist with dhikr. That's a metaphor for saying, let your tongue always be on the move making dhikr. So this is a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, يصبح المداد جافا. These are words that you don't know, so I'm going to help you. يصبح is the present tense version of أصبح. What did أصبح mean? Became in the morning. Right? Al-midad is the Arabic word for ink. Yes?
Yeah.
Or, yeah, it means ink. I mean, لو كان البحر مدادا. Yeah. So al-midadu ink. يصبح المداد جافا. Jafan means dry. What does that mean?
So the ink becomes dry in the morning.
The ink became dry in the morning. It could also mean the ink became dry. It doesn't have to give the meaning of the time period.
3 in the morning.
It doesn't have to be in the morning.
But what do we say is like, what do we say is like, you know, like, yeah, the ad word for like evening.
You could say that too. You could, if you're not specifying time.
But would it still like, would it still mean that the ink dries out, you know, at night?
It can, and it can also just mean the ink became dry.
So you can use like interchangeably, right?
They can be used interchangeably if you're referring to time. But if you're not referring to time, yes, they can be used interchangeably. So through usage, you'll understand this. Like, don't worry too much about the or became. Inshallah, through examples, you guys will learn that as we get exposed to these words a little bit more. Right now, our main focus should just be kana, laysa, and sama. Okay, those three are very common. And asbaha sometimes will come up in Arabic in the Quran as well. So moving forward, we're going to be going ahead and now exploring our next chapter, which is in Qasas an-Nabiyeen. Qasas an-Nabiyeen, yesterday we left off on chapter, you remember? 4. We finished chapter 4. Okay. Are you guys ready to go to chapter 5? Do you want to review chapter 4? What are you all thinking?
I'm ready.
You're You ready for 5, Maddie? Okay. So you guys are going to have to ensure that you tell me what doesn't make sense to you. So that we can go through it at a pace that's actually manageable with taking notes, etc. Chapter 5. The heading of this chapter is, can you guys try reading that?
من
Man fa'ala hadha. What does fa'ala mean?
He did.
He did. Hadha means this. So man fa'ala hadha means
who did
who did this. Remember what just happened in the story.
Remember, destroy the idols.
He destroyed the idols except
Except for the big one.
except for the big one. Alright, very good. So who did this is the name of this chapter. Let's try reading line number 1. Go ahead, guys. Baytil Asnam. Okay, good. Raja, Malik, what does Raja mean? What does Raja mean? Tariq.
came back.
Came back, returned. So that'll be one of our vocab words. It's a verb. Anyone know what the present tense version of that is? Yarji'u. From the pattern of daraba yadribu. Raja'a yarji'u. To return. He returned. So raja'a an-nasu would mean what? Who returned?
The people
The
returned.
people returned. Where'd they return?
Back to
Where did they return from?
Where'd they go?
They went for their Eid.
They went for Eid. Now they've come back home. Okay? They went out of the city to celebrate Eid. On the outskirts, you know, where they do their carnivals. And now they've come back to the city. وَدَخَلُوا. What does دَخَلُوا mean?
They entered
They entered. فِي بَيْتِ الْأَصْنَامِ. Where?
in the house of the idols.
Yes, in the house of the idols. Very good. Let's look at our second line. Let's go ahead and try it.
وأراد الناس أن يسجدوا للأصنام
لأنه يوم عيد.
Very good. Arada is a new word. Nobody has learned it before. You know what it means? Arada means
like after
Arada means he wanted. He wanted.
I knew that. أريد goodbye.
And the present tense that you probably are familiar with is yuridu. What does yuridu mean?
I want.
He wanted.
He
wants.
He wants.
Yeah.
What does turidu?
She wants.
And it also can mean
You, man.
you want, speaking to a man. What does uridu mean?
I want.
What does nuridu mean?
We want.
Makes sense, right? You haven't learned this pattern of a verb, that's why it's weird. Okay? Arada has more than 3 letters.
See?
It has an additional alif. And it's kind of hard to explain without at least 6 months of like non-stop stuff. So I'm not going to
Is that how
explain.
it's spelled, or can it be the alif or the haraka alif?
Typically it's written like this.
Oh, okay.
Yep. In modern standard Arabic, that's what we have to write it like this. Arada nasu. So who wanted?
People wanted.
The people wanted.
Yes,
Okay. Now stop. The people wanted. Now we have after the word after the people wanted, we have the concept of a new word called an. Now an, does that look like a verb to you guys?
No.
No.
Why not?
It looks like a harf.
They look like a hot.
Why?
It looks like a
Okay, it looks like anna. What other reasons?
See, letters?
spoon on it.
It's only 2 letters.
Oh,
Alright? Most harfs are small, like fi,
yeah.
ala.
Yeah.
Alright, this is going to be a little bit complicated. An actually is a new class of a harf that we've never learned before. Because remember, last we described harfs. We first introduced you guys to harfs through use of something called the harf jar. What is the harf jar?
Preposition.
Okay, and what do they do?
They make the following letter adjusted.
The following words last letter in the jar state. So I would say fil bayti. Right, Arif?
Right.
Now, we also learned about harfs like inna, which do something totally different. What does inna do?
It has an ism that is
No, it doesn't flip. It gives the ism the nasab state
What that?
and the khabar da
From that.
from kana. That's right. It's the opposite of kana. Okay? So we learned about inna and its sisters. It was a type of harf, and it's the first type of harf we've seen give a noun the nasab state, right? Because before that, harfs never gave the noun a nasab state, but inna is our first introduction to that. Correct? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Here's where it gets a little bit fun. An, that we're looking at today, it falls into a new category of harfs, which are called al-huruf al-nasiba. Okay? Al-huruf al-nasiba. Let me explain. What are the huruf nasiba? Well, let's figure that out.
See something that deal with something in muscle state.
Yeah, exactly. The half that makes
Oh, what'd you say? What'd you say? Say that again.
Yeah.
Not saying something dealing with making the following word or something in the muscle state.
Okay, so it puts the following word in the nasab state. That's a very good guess because of the name al-huruf al-nasiba. And here's the interesting thing. You're correct in that it causes the nasab state, but it doesn't cause the nasab state to nouns.
Okay. No.
It causes the nasab state to verbs.
Huh? How does that work?
I don't know if you guys even heard me.
Causes the muscle state
To verbs,
Yeah.
not to nouns.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? That just sounds wrong.
Yeah.
Right? Because right up until this point, you all have learned what?
That verbs are mansub. Like they don't change. Like they're
Verbs don't change. And I did not lie to you. I told you past tense verbs don't change.
Oh, okay.
Present tense verbs have states.
Um,
Okay? Let me demonstrate that very briefly, inshallah, at the whiteboard. If you guys could just bring this camera, someone doesn't mind bringing it.
longer is present
Yes.
and now it's present. I can unplug it, right?
Shall we unplug it?
Yeah, you can unplug it. You don't have to bring the laptop.
Okay.
My bad. What does the color mean again?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So, yes, Julie, yes, do that.
Oh yeah, it's not very expensive. Like young children.
I was thinking about past tense, like fa'ala. You can't make it not fa'ala. Like, it would be
But you can say yeah, fine.
You guys can take a seat. I don't want to keep you standing. So in Arabic, we have 4 harfs that have the capacity to change the state of a verb. Specifically, the state of which verbs? We're talking specifically about present tense verbs. Present tense verbs. What are the 4 harfs that have that power and capacity? When are they used? Why do we use them? Why do verbs have to have states? These are all questions that will be on your mind as you learn about these. Let's first and foremost introduce you to what they are. An example of the word an. Not anna, just an. And it has 3 other sisters that do the same thing. Okay, what are they used for? Why would I want to use any of these? Generally, the definition that's given for these 4 is an can usually mean 2. but that's not always the case. For now, we'll just call it 2. Lan never will. Will never. We have the word kay, which means in order to. These are the definitions that you can think are pretty accurate for the course of getting a basic understanding of how to use these. It may be used slightly differently in terms of meanings, such as the word an in particular. It will have meanings that are different to the word to, but we're just learning how to use them at first. Now that you understand what the definition of them is, let's just go ahead and backtrack for a moment and understand what is the nasab state even. The nasab state, as we've learned it, is very different to the nasab state we're talking about right now. It's different because of a couple of reasons. Let's go ahead and look at the word Muslim. And when you look at this noun, what state do you think it happens to have? The Rafa'at state. How would I put this into the nasab state? Musliman. That's how nouns work, right? And if I wanted to put this in the jar state, what would I say? Muslimuna? I think you're thinking of singular, dual, and plural. Yeah, Muslimin. Verbs that are present tense, like for example, let's look at a verb like yansuru. Anyone know what that means? He helped? He's helping. He is helping. He will help. He helps. Very good. This is a present tense verb. By default, all present tense verbs are in the rafa'at state. What do I mean by that? How do I say, for example, you help? And you know how I can say you help to a male? Very good. How do I say to a single female, you are helping? Say it again? Tansurina. Very good. You just didn't say the na at the end, but that's correct. So it would be Tansurina. What do you guys notice is different between these two and this word? It ends in a fatha. This word is still in the rafa'at state. This verb is still in the rafa'at state. Because all of the present tense verbs you guys have learned so far about are all in the rafa'at state. So, ansuru, what state is that in? Nansuru, yansurani, rafa'at state. Remember the dual? Yansuru, yansurani. For two people, it ends in a kasra. That word is effectively in the rafa'at state, even though it ends in a kasra. That's important to understand because right now we're just about to learn about an, lan, kay, and idan, which have the capacity to cause the nasab state to a verb. What does the nasab state in a verb look like? For that, we have to basically write out all 14 words. So let's pick a verb that's easy that we all know. Let's pick yasma. يسمعان يسمعون تسمعوا تسمعاني يسمعنا. So the female, remember that chart, Maddie?
Yeah.
You remember it? Really well? The present tense, we have to strengthen. That's third person.
Did you read that? Oh, you took that right? It's not. It's not.
Yeah, يسمعني.
That last one? The last
يسمعنا. That's three
Oh,
plus
يسمعنا.
females. Cool. That's our male and female second person. And then for our first person, أسمع one, and then two plus we have نسمع. Okay. Don't just write all of the verbs out yet. Pay attention. These are the 14 conjugations of present tense that we learned some while back. يسمع يسمعني يسمعون تسمعوا تسمعاني يسمعنا تسمعوا تسمعاني تسمعون تسمعين تسمعاني تسمعنا أسمعوا نسمع. The more you rep this, the easier this present tense chart will get. I promise there's no simpler way out of it. There's only one way through. And that's to have it like on the back of your hand, always accessible to you. All of these verbs, despite whatever ending you see, by default are in the rafat state. All of these present tense verbs we've learned. So even though you see a fatha on this noon, and a kasra on this noon, and a fatha on this noon, and a dhamma on this letter, all of these are in the rafat state. When one of our four magical words, an, lan, kay, ilan, comes before any one of them, that verb is now going to transform into its nasab state. What did an mean? Two. Okay. Let's start our sentence over. We had arada as the word that was used in our book. Arada meant what?
He wanted.
He wanted. Very good. So he wanted. Arada an would mean what?
He wanted to.
He wanted to. And let's fill this in with our verb. He wanted to listen. Which one would I use from all of these? Yasma, because this means he, right?
Singular.
Very good, singular. The way that I would put this into the nasab state for this word would be just to give a fatha to the ayn at the end. The last letter would receive a fatha. If we want to say arada an yasma'u, we would say what? Arada an yasma'a. Right. Let's look at all of the rest of the present tense verbs that happen to end in dhamma. Where are they?
The first person having a
Yasma'u ends in dhamma. In the nasab state, we said it would become what? So that, in the nasab state, that dhamma will turn into a fatha. Tasma'u in the nasab state, that dhamma will turn into a fatha. Tasma in the nasab state, that dhamma will turn into a fatha. And that's about it. Right? Oh, right here. Asma'u and Nasma'u. Asma'u in the present tense would become what if preceded by an? Asma'a, and Nasma'u would become Nasma'a. Get the point? An is going to put a fatha at its ending. However, if the word ends in ani, and what type of words end in ani? Duals. If it ends in ani, the nasab state is not about giving that noon a fatha. The nasab state appears by making that noon disappear. Making the noon disappear. Making that noon disappear. Making that noon disappear. Making that noon disappear. So, any place we have a dual noon, ani, the noon in the nasab state just drops. So if I said, an yasma'ani, instead of saying an yasma'ani, what would I say instead? An yasma'a. I just dropped the noon in the nasab state.
Stay there.
So just like, remember how we changed this dhamma into a fatha, alright? And you arada an yasma'a. You see how we changed the yasma'u to yasma'a?
Yeah.
Because of the an?
Yeah.
Who made this dhamma into a fatha? What was responsible for that?
Right.
An was, right? However, if an comes before a dual verb like yasma'ani, it's not going to choose to give the last letter fatha. It's just going to choose to get rid of the last letter.
So anyway, and when noon is cancelled, right?
Yeah, alif and noon, ani, the noon will get cancelled.
So it's an ending fatha or
Alif, yeah, the fatha alif, the stretch. We haven't gotten here
Oh,
yet.
sorry.
Okay? We just covered dual so far. Let's talk about plural. Yasma'una, the male plural ends in what? Not just noon. Una, right? The wow noon. In the nasab state, that noon would also get cancelled. So we're just saying an yasma. Ooh, that's it. In the nasab state. Let's go to male plural here. Tasma'una. What would I do?
Cancel the noun.
It would be tasma'u. That's about it. Let's talk about the singular female second person. The second person singular female is tasma'ina. Tasma'ina. In this example, in the nasab state, we would just get rid of the noon. So how do I read this? Tasma'i, an tasma'i. So I could say to a female, turidina an tasma'i. What would that mean?
Do you want to?
Turidina,
Do you want to?
Did she listen?
turidu. What does turidina mean?
You want to?
You want to.
Yeah.
You want to an tasma'i.
To listen to me.
Not to listen to me. You just want to
Oh,
listen.
you want to listen. Sorry.
Tasma'i. I think you're thinking of tasma'ni.
Yeah.
Yes?
There's only for girls, right?
Yeah, this one is for singular feminine, second person. So we just dropped the noon. Okay. We're still left with two very problematic words. What are the last two that we haven't covered yet? Plural, female. What are the plural female verbs? Tasma'na. Yasma'na and tasma'na. Don't they end in noon too? What did we do to all of the noons so far? We deleted them. Well, the plural feminine Arabic is a very stubborn word. That means it's going to tell an, you're lost. I don't care what you want. I'm not changing.
Okay.
So if an comes before this word, what do we read it as?
It's not.
Yes, ma'ana. And if an comes before this word, what do we say?
It's not. Okay. So,
You get it?
yeah.
Plural feminine refuses to change. This is a simple answer. You deduce whatever you want from that. Okay? There's actually a logical reason why. It makes sense why that's the case. If I got rid of this nun, what would it say?
Tasma. Or sorry, yasma.
Yes, ma'am. That looks just like this.
Yeah.
You get it? Then that looks masculine. And if I got rid of the nun from here, it would look like this. So the plural feminine nun never gets deleted in Arabic. You all understand the lesson thus far?
Yes.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. Okay. Now, imagine instead of an, let's use lan. If I said lan yasma, what would that mean?
You will not listen.
You will never listen. You'll never listen. Now I want you to put lan before the dual. How do we say it?
Yes,
Lan yasma'a. No. Remember the nasab state for dual involves?
together now.
Yeah, so we're not going to say the knee. So we're going to say lan yasma. Lan yasma'a. For plural masculine, we would say, what does lan yasma'u mean?
They don't listen.
No, not they don't listen.
They will never.
They will never listen. They will never listen. A very negative word. Okay? They will never listen. What does tasma'u mean here?
Tasma'u is one female here.
So how do we translate that?
She listens.
She listens. Now let's put lan before. How do we say it?
She will never listen.
No, in Arabic, how do we say it? Not tasma'u. Nasab state. Nasab state. Lan tasma'. Lan tasma'a. We change it to a fatha because it's singular. Singulars end up getting their nasab state from a change from a dhamma to a fatha. Anytime a word was supposed to have dhamma in the present tense, its nasab state gets a fatha. Understand? So yes, tasma'u in the nasab state is tasma'a. Tasma'ani, lan tasma'ani. We would say lan tasma'a. What does lan tasma'a mean? Now they both will never listen. Okay? Let's take a look at our last two, K and Idan. K is pretty common in the Arabic language, especially in the Quran. You'll find it used a couple of times. K, what did K mean? In order to. Okay? I can say. What does darabtuhu mean? I hit him. Very good. K?
In order to.
And it's usually used with li before it. So we'll usually see like. FYI, you'll usually say see like. K is the word that causes the nasab state, but it's usually used as like. Okay? Like. What does that mean again?
In order to.
And then I had a student say this to me once in school.
Yeah, exactly.
What does yafhama mean?
In order for him to understand.
Yeah. So I had a student who I asked, why would you hit him? He said, so he can understand. In order for him to understand. Okay? You understand what K is used for? But do you understand what it did to the word after? How is the nasab state expressed here? So how are we expressing it? What's showing you this is in the nasab state? The fatha on the last letter. Okay. Let's go ahead and try another one. Wala. Waka.
The first one. This one. This one.
Let me change it up real quick. Try reading it. Khalaqakum. Khalaqakum means what? Created you all. Who created you all? Allah created you all. Like.
So the
Ta'rifu means what?
to know.
To know. Ta'rifu who? To know him. Where'd you get the him? Who at the end. Now, is that word in the nasab state?
Yes.
How do you know?
Like the who.
No, the who means him. How do you know this word is in the nasab state? Nadi? So what's telling you it's in the nasab state? Okay. The waw has a sukoon. What's showing you that's in the nasab state? Tariq, what's showing you?
I think it's because the pronoun comes.
Forget the pronoun. There's nothing to do with the pronoun. Huh?
That's right there, like.
Because it ends in a well.
So what does ending in a waw tell you?
Instead of noon, the noon is gone.
There used to be a noon.
Oh, I knew that.
The noon is missing.
What's your question?
The noon is missing. You know it's in the nasab state because of the missing noon. Not because of the fatha on the last letter. Like in our last example, there's a fatha on the last letter, right?
So the fatha was there, but the noon not.
I got you. I trust you.
I don't know about
What'd you say?
The fatha was there, but the noon is gone, so we can't see it.
No.
That's not true.
That noon already had a fatha before we put it before K. Remember ta'rifuna?
Tarifuna.
It's in the rafa'at state when it has a fatha.
Oh, okay.
But it's in the nasab state when the noon is missing.
Okay.
Right? Makes sense? So we know that this word is in the nasab state because of the fact that the nat is missing. So Allah created you, likay, in order that ta'rifuhu, you acknowledge him, you recognize him, you know. Anyhow, these are the examples of An and their sisters. There's a more technical dive in An and its sisters that we're going to do in the Masjid. Let me just kind of intro you to that chapter.
Do you want your phone?
Oh yeah, my bad. I'll get it. All right. What is the discussion in the Masjid al-Nahu? It actually is part of chapter 4.1.1. So, chapter 4.1.1 is quite a ways down.
Does this book cover all these that you talked about, or it just jumps around, or you're jumping around?
We're reading a text, right? So in the text, whatever comes up.
Whatever comes up, you're taking us to the
Yes.
rest.
Yes. All right. Al-huruf al-nasiba are the particles that cause nasab an kay idan. They appear before a fi'l mudari'. What's a mudari'?
present tense.
A present tense verb. And they cause the following changes at the end. I showed you the changes in a different way. The author tells it in a more English technical way, which is a good way. He says it really shortly. The last letter gets a fatha if it's not a noon of tathniya, which means duality, or noon of jama', which means noon of plurality. Okay? So that just means if you have yasma'u, it'll become yasma'a. It's a fatha if there's no noon at the end. Okay? If the last letter is a noon of tathniya, of duality or plurality, the noon gets dropped. Exception is the noon of plural feminine, jama' mu'annath. He forgot the singular feminine, that noon drops as well. An kay idan. 2. أريد أن أدخل البيت الجنة means what? أريد, I want
Enter paradise.
enter paradise. So where do you see the change happening in this verb? يدخل, which used to be what? يدخل. Very good. Let's go on to our second example. Can you guys just read the Arabic for me?
لن يدخل الكافرون الجنة.
What does that mean?
The kafir will never
Will never
enter Jannah.
go.
Enter into
Jannah.
paradise, right?
Yeah.
What change is lan rendering here?
Lan.
La, right? يدخل, right? This used to be what, Arif?
Lu.
Very good. Ji'tu means I came. Ji'tu kay. What does kay mean?
In order to.
In order to. Astariha is a verb which means to relax, to rest. This used to be astarihu. It's a little complicated verb because it has a lot of letters. But in general, this used to be astarihu, and it became astariha.
Oh, so it's not like istirahat?
That's istiraha, that means rest. Astarihu means I am resting.
No way, it's the same thing in Malay.
Yeah, Malay got it from Arabic.
That's cool.
It came from Arabic. Malay actually has a lot of Arabic influence after Islam.
I can tell.
Yeah, mashallah. Idhan is the last one we didn't do examples of. Idhan means in that case. Tafuza is a verb. It used to be tafuzu. Tafuzu, faza yafuzu means to be successful. Tafuzu means you will be successful. So idhan tafuza means what? In that case, you will be successful fi amalika in your work, right? In that case, you will be successful in your work. So these are the 4 harf nasibas. Don't worry about the notes right now. Okay? That's all hard stuff. I promise. Very hard stuff. Okay. Going onwards. Let's go back to our Tasheel al-Nahu, or not our Tasheel al-Nahu, our Qasas an-Nabiyeen. And we were looking at the discussion right after the people came back and they wanted to go do what? Arad an-Nasu, can we read line number 2 together?
وأراد الناس أن يسجدوا للأصنام
Does anyone see an effective unhappening in this sentence?
Yes.
What is the effect?
That's true.
It's supposed to be, normally it would have been just like,
Very good, so the noon dropped. Good. What does yasjuduna mean?
some question.
Yeah, but yasjuduna, which one is that?
So
They are. So arada an-nasu an yasjudu means what?
And the people wanted
to prostrate. Make sense? The people wanted to prostrate. Lil asnami, where did they want to prostrate? To the idols. Li'anna, anyone remember what li'anna means? I told you li'anna. Because. Li'annahu, what would li'annahu mean?
because
it's
Good, because it is Yawm Eid. Yeah, because it is the day of Eid. The day of Eid, yes. Li'anna, why does it mean because? Okay, li'anna, I told you, means for that. Okay? Think about it as for indeed. Madik, when I say for indeed, that's just a way of saying because, right? I wanted to help you out for indeed you are poor. Because you're poor, right? Because you're poor. So, similarly, we can understand li'anna as because. So, li'annahu means because it. Because it is Yawm Eidin. Because it was the day of Eid. Make sense? Because it was the day of Eid.
Innahu is, what is
Innahu,
innahu?
indeed he.
What is it?
Indeed he.
Oh, indeed he, okay. Li'annahu makes it because?
Yeah, because li means for, right? So,
Yeah. Okay.
alright, we got a new word coming up, which is the word lakin. Lakin is something we haven't learned, but we learned something that sounds like lakin. Lakinna. What did lakinna mean? However, but, right? What does this say? Lakin. What's different? There's a sukoon on the noon instead of a shadda. So we're not saying lakinna, we're saying lakin. They mean the same thing. But here's the difference. Lakinna is a sister of inna. And a sister of inna needs to come right before a ism. Yeah, the ism, right? The ism of inna, right? The mubtada. And mubtadas have to be nouns. Right? They have to be nouns. Lakinna is a sister of inna that has that condition. But its sister lakin, she can come wherever she wants. And she has no effect on anyone else. She doesn't give anyone the nasab state. She doesn't give anyone the raf'at state. She can choose to pull up right before a verb.
So
Not just before a noun.
what we're looking at right now.
Yes.
No effect on anything.
Yes. And it doesn't have to come before a noun. Remember, inna has to come before a noun.
Yeah.
And anna has to come before a noun. Because inna, anna, ka'anna, lakinna, layta, la'alla, all of the sisters all come right before a mubtada. And mubtadas are what?
Isms.
They're isms. The subjects are isms. Right? Lakin, which is the soft version of lakinna, I call it the soft version because it's easier to say. It's also soft in that it's easier to use because you don't have to give anything the nasab state. And you don't have to put it before a noun.
What does it mean?
Lakin means the same thing as lakinna.
Oh, so
Yeah.
But however.
It means but, however. But what? Ta'ajjaba. Ta'ajjaba is a new verb. Ta'ajjaba. Here's the interesting thing about ta'ajjaba. Unlike all of the previous verbs that we have learned, in the present tense, like ta'rifu and tasma'u and tadribu, what do all those words end in? Dhamma. Ta'rifu, tasma'u, tansuru. This verb starts with ta, but what does it end with? Fatha. This is actually, believe it or not, this is a 4-lettered past tense verb. It's a 5-lettered past tense verb.
Before root letters.
oh, because of the
Is that the core word? Tajid is the core word?
Yeah.
But that is not the.
Da is an additional letter.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Okay? But in the past tense, the da is like a part of the verb.
Yeah.
Ta'ajjaba is the past tense masculine, third person, singular verb. Like daraba or like fa'ala. It's ta'ajjaba.
Oh, for real?
Yes.
Interesting.
was
So
the
it's just part of the word. It's not the pronoun.
No, it's not the pronoun. That's right. So it's
Okay.
part of the verb.
Okay. Part
Okay?
of it.
Ta'ajjaba means he became astonished.
Oh yeah.
Was
He-
there another way to say this? Because there's a shabda over there.
Wait, say that again?
Was there another way to say it? Because of the fact that there's a shabda right there, like the day.
No.
No, that's the core
No.
word.
No.
What's the core word? What is the core word without?
But let me just explain something. I totally actually, just trust me, I know what you're saying. You have to trust me on, I know what you're saying. Why is it that there's a shadda there? Was it originally 2 harder letters and the Arabs, to make it easier to pronounce, they merged the shaddas? That's not what's happening. What's happening here is simply this. Basically, the past tense verbs that we all learn. Can someone give me an example of a past tense verb? Fa'ala. Any other past tense verbs? Akala, nasara, rakala, jalasa. Okay? These are all past tense verbs. They all have 3 letters. I can actually change the meaning of that base root verb by modifying it and adding a da before it.
Okay.
And by putting a shadda on the second letter. So alima means what?
He knows.
He knew. He knew. Now let's take alima and put a ta before it. Just like ta'ajjaba, put it on the pattern of ta'ajjaba.
Do we use
Ta'allama. Yes, use a shadda as well.
Ta'allama.
Ta'allama.
So
That word exists too. Ta'allama means he learned.
he learned.
He learned something. Alima means he knew something. Ta'allama means he learned something. So
the ya'lama.
What's changed?
ya'lamu is the present tense verb.
So that's what I'm saying.
Ta'allama, just like ta'ajjaba, on the same pattern.
No.
We can actually
Ajjaba
modify
means-
this verb in order to make it mean something else. So the root letters in this verb are ayn, jim, and ba.
But they're ajjab.
Okay, but we're transforming them by adding an extra da before it and a shadda on the second letter. So we get ta'ajjaba.
So, meaning stays the same.
Don't worry about that. The meaning has changed from ajiba.
Okay, the core
It
is
has
ajjab.
changed, yeah. The
And
meaning
then
has
the
changed from ajiba when we made it ta'ajjaba.
Ajiba means, like, so ajiba means fascinating.
Yeah, ta'ajjaba means fascinating.
Strange. He is strange. Like saying it is strange.
Yeah, you would say ajib.
It's
It's ajib, right?
Oh.
Ta'ajjaba means to find something strange or astonishing.
Ajiba.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then ta'ajjaba is that it
He-
became something astonishing.
The people became, yeah, he became astonished, yes.
Okay.
So ta'ajjaba nasu means who became astonished here?
People became astonished.
The people became astonished.
So why is dahishu?
Dahish.
Wasn't there a
What
show-
the-
Why is it
Dahishu.
not dahishu?
Yeah, it would have been.
Why is it mansub?
Who said it's mansub? It's a past tense verb.
Oh, right.
Dahishu, like Samir.
Yeah,
because
okay.
I didn't-
I got you. I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Dahishu. Dahisha is another verb which means to become astonished, to become bewildered, to become shocked. So dahishu, the people became astonished and shocked. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Sorry.
yeah.
I'm trying to do ta'ajjaba with dahishu. So that would be like
Tadahasha.
tadahasha. No,
Da-
tadahasha.
Tadahasha. Very good.
Tadahasha.
Yeah.
And then that would be he became
Yeah, he became bewildered, right?
He became bewildered.
He became bewildered.
he was shocked, he became bewildered.
Okay. And there are many, many more verbs that we have yet to learn, inshallah, which we will be soon. But in order to get there, we have to come across them so that we can actually go through those conjugations and learn those patterns, inshallah, really, really, really well. So we're going to conclude here. Our next line says, what the as-safa. Doesn't that kind of look like the ajaba?
Yes.
You see that extra that? You see that shut down the second letter? So what are the root letters of the as-safa?
Asafa.
Like the original asafa.
Yeah, the original asafa, right? Asifa. Asifa means he became sad. The asafa also means he became sad. So the asafa nasu means what?
People become sad.
وَغَضِبُوا.
And they became angry.
And they became
were
angry.
And they were angry.
And they became
They
angry.
became angry.
Right? The people became sad and the people became angry. And this is where they say the iconic words, Man fa'ala hadha, which this chapter was titled. What does man fa'ala hadha mean?
Who did
Who did this? Bi means two. In this case, it means two. Bi alihatina. Aliha is the plural of ilah. What is ilah?
God.
So aliha means?
Lord God.
Yes. So who did this to our gods? Was their response. And inshallah we'll go through the story in our next session. Our next session is going to have a lot of verbs and a lot of discussions and different transformation of verbs that we're beginning to see right now, like that, like the ajaba, the asafa. We're going to look at a bunch of transformations that exist in Arabic in order to change the meaning. Inshallah.